Hello there, and welcome to the AstroSleep channel. I am so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you have had a long day, filled with noise and movement, and now you are looking for a place of stillness. Or maybe you are the kind of person who finds comfort in the vast, silent reaches of the cosmos, where the worries of the world simply drift away like dust in a sunbeam. Whatever brought you here, know that you have arrived at a sanctuary. Tonight we are not just looking up at the sky. We are going to drift, slowly and gently, toward the very edge of our solar neighborhood. We are traveling to the Twilight realm, to a world of frozen nitrogen and silent mountains, a place that waited in darkness for billions of years to be seen. We are journeying to Pluto, and to the quiet icy ring of worlds that dance slowly in the dark beyond it. If these calm, curious explorations help you unwind and find a moment of peace, I invite you to like or subscribe. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here too, one quiet listener at a time. And now, there is nothing left for you to do but rest. The day is done. The tasks are finished. You are safe in this moment, held by the gravity of your bed, just as the planets are held by the gravity of the sun. Let your mind relax. Feel the tension in your shoulders dissolve, melting away like ice turning into mist. Unclench your jaw and let your breathing slow down. Inhale deeply, filling your lungs with the cool, quiet air of the night, and exhale slowly, letting go of every thought that tries to hold your attention. Your body is growing light, weightless, as if the gravity of Earth has softened. Imagine that we are leaving the bright, busy inner solar system behind. We are floating past the heavy giants of Jupiter and Saturn, past the icy winds of Uranus and Neptune. As we drift further out, the sun becomes smaller and smaller, until it is no longer a burning disk, but simply the brightest star in a sea of eternal night. Here, at the edge of the system, the silence is profound. It is a deep, ancient silence that has existed since the birth of the stars. There is no wind to rustle the leaves, no waves to crash against the shore, only the perfect stillness of the void. It was into this vast silence that humanity sent a messenger. In the year 2015, a quiet wave of wonder washed over the world. But the story began long before that. It began with a small piano-sized craft named New Horizons. It was a traveler built for patience. When it left our blue planet, it moved faster than any machine we had ever built, rushing away from the warmth of the sun. But as it crossed the great divide of space, its journey became one of solitude. For 9 long years, it drifted through the dark, mostly asleep, in a state of electronic hibernation. Imagine sleeping for 9 years, drifting through the nothingness, saving your energy for one brief, beautiful encounter. The spacecraft spun slowly as it traveled, a tiny speck of metal and dreams floating through the cathedral of the cosmos. It passed the orbits of giant planets, silent and unseen. It moved through the emptiness, where the only company was the distant glimmer of stars that burned cold and white in the blackness. It was a long, lonely pilgrimage to the edge of the known world. For decades, Pluto was just a blurry point of light to us. Even our most powerful telescopes, squinting through the atmosphere of Earth, could only see a few pixelated blobs of shadow and light. It was a mystery. Wrapped in distance, we knew it was there. A small world in the Kuiper Belt, that vast dispersed ring of icy debris that encircles our solar system like a halo. But we did not know its face. We did not know if it was dead and grey, or if it held secrets beneath its frozen crust. It was too far, too small, too shy to reveal itself to our distant gaze. but the universe rewards patience. After its long slumber, the New Horizons probe woke up. It opened its eyes in the dark, billions of kilometers from home. And there, looming in the view, was a world of breathtaking beauty. It was not a grey, dead rock. It was a world of contrasts, of burnt orange and charcoal black, of blinding white ices and deep blue hazes. It was a world that, despite the freezing cold, was alive with a slow geological heartbeat. Tonight, we will follow the path of that silent messenger. We will retrace its journey and look down upon the surface of this distant dwarf planet. We will drift over glaciers of nitrogen that flow as slowly as glass. We will soar past mountains made of water ice that stand as tall and hard as the Rockies, yet are so cold they act like bedrock. We will witness a sky that is not black, but layered with a delicate blue haze stretching out into the infinite. We are entering the realm of the Kuiper Belt, a place of shadows and ancient starlight. It is a place where time seems to slow down, where a single year on Pluto lasts for 248 of our Earth years. Seasons here do not pass in weeks, but in lifetimes. It is a place of deep, abiding rest. So, as we begin this journey, let yourself sink deeper into your mattress. Let the imagery of this cold, quiet world cool your thoughts. You are a traveler in the dark, safe and warm, drifting toward the edge of the night, where the mysteries of the cosmos wait in silence to greet you. The story of this journey begins not with the arrival, but with a departure that happened many years ago. It was the year 2006 when the vessel known as New Horizons first left the ground. If we were to look back at that moment, we would see a pillar of fire rising from the coast of Florida, a bright streak of light climbing higher and higher until it pierced the blue veil of our atmosphere and entered the eternal blackness beyond. It was carried aloft by an Atlas V rocket, the most powerful launch vehicle available at the time, a machine built to slip the surly bonds of gravity with effortless grace. The goal was simple yet profound: to reach the distant world of Pluto as soon as possible. And to achieve this, the spacecraft had to move with a speed that is almost difficult for the human mind to comprehend. It was the fastest launch in the history of space exploration, a silver arrow released from the bow of Earth. We can imagine it there, shedding the heavy stages of its rocket, becoming lighter and freer with every passing second, until it was just a small piano-sized box of instruments, drifting alone in the silence. It moved so swiftly that it passed our own moon in only 9 hours. Let us pause and consider that for a moment. In the grand history of exploration, when the Apollo missions carried astronauts across that same dark ocean, it took them 3 long, slow days to bridge the gap between Earth and the Moon. They had time to watch the Earth shrink, time to sleep, time to dream. But New Horizons was a traveler on a different current, a swifter stream. It glided past the cratered face of our lunar companion in less time than it takes the sun to rise and set, leaving the familiar harbor of our home behind in the blink of a cosmic eye. But the journey to the edge of the solar system is vast, and even with such incredible speed, the spacecraft could not make the voyage alone. It needed a helper, a giant hand to push it forward into the deep. And so, it set its course for the largest planet in our neighborhood. It aimed its trajectory toward the golden realm of Jupiter. It took a year for the spacecraft to cross the emptiness between Earth and Jupiter. We can imagine that year as a time of quiet transition. The sun, once a blinding sphere of heat, began to shrink in the sky, becoming smaller and cooler. The Earth became a bright star, then a pale dot, and finally it was lost among the millions of other points of light. The spacecraft drifted through the vacuum, bathed in silence, moving toward the King of Planets. When it finally arrived at Jupiter, it did not stop. It did not enter orbit to stay. Instead, it performed a graceful gravitational ballet. It approached the giant planet, flying close to its swirling clouds of ammonia and storms that have raged for centuries. It used the immense gravity of Jupiter as a slingshot, a cosmic assist that grabbed the tiny spacecraft and flung it outward with renewed vigor. This encounter was a gift of time. By dancing with Jupiter, by stealing a whisper of its orbital momentum, New Horizons shaved 3 whole years off its arrival time at Pluto. It was a moment of elegance in physics, a silent agreement between the machine and the planet. During this flyby, the spacecraft opened its eyes for a brief trial run. It tested its cameras and sensors, capturing remarkable images of Jupiter's storms and its retinue of icy moons, proving that its systems were ready for the ultimate destination that still lay far ahead. And then, after the excitement of Jupiter, after the gravity assist was complete and the speed was gained, the true silence began. The spacecraft was now traveling faster than ever, heading into the vast, sparsely populated wasteland. To protect itself, to ensure that its delicate instruments would survive the long years of waiting, the mission team made a decision to put the spacecraft to sleep. New Horizons went into hibernation mode. This is perhaps the most poetic phase of the mission. Imagine the spacecraft, spinning slowly to stabilize itself, millions of kilometers from any solid ground. One by one, its systems were powered down. The cameras that had looked at Jupiter were turned off. The transmitters that sent data back to Earth fell silent, save for a faint, weakly heartbeat signal to let us know it was still alive. The onboard computers slowed their processing. It was as if the machine entered a deep, electronic slumber, preserving its energy, preventing the wear and tear that comes with constant operation. For nearly 9 years, it drifted in this state of suspended animation. We can try to visualize what those 9 years were like in the void. There is no day or night there, only the perpetual, unblinking stare of the stars. The sun is just a particularly bright light in the distance, offering little warmth. The spacecraft became a part of the environment, a cold metallic object floating through the cryosphere of the solar system. It passed the orbit of Saturn, the ringed jewel, but it was too far away to see the rings in their glory. It was just a traveler in the dark. It passed the orbit of Uranus, the tilting ice giant, and then Neptune, the windswept blue world. It crossed these invisible boundary lines in silence, unnoticed and unbothered. It was a ghost ship, sailing on the stellar winds, carrying the curiosity of humanity in its sleeping memory. During this long hibernation, the universe around it continued its slow, majestic motions. Galaxies collided and merged over millions of years in the deep background. Stars were born in nebulae far away, and other stars exhaled their final breaths. But for New Horizons, time was a flat, calm lake. There was no resistance, no friction. It simply floated, carried by the momentum given to it by the rocket and by Jupiter, a singular point of purpose moving through the infinite. Back on Earth, seasons changed. Winters turned to springs, children grew up, governments changed, and technology advanced. But out there, in the gap between the planets, nothing changed. The silence was absolute. It is a kind of silence we can scarcely imagine on Earth, where there is always the hum of life, the rustle of wind, or the beating of our own hearts. Out there, the silence is a physical weight, a vast enveloping blanket that covers everything. The spacecraft was spinning, a slow, rhythmic rotation that kept it stable as it flew. We can imagine sunlight glinting off its gold foil insulation, a brief flash in the dark that no eye was there to see. It was a lonely existence, but it was not lost. It was guided by the laws of physics, by the precise calculations of mathematics that mapped its path through the dark. It was held on course by the invisible rails of gravity, drifting inevitably toward its rendezvous. As the years passed, the spacecraft moved deeper into the Kuiper Belt. This is the region of space that Pluto calls home, a dispersed belt of ancient debris, of asteroids and comets that have remained unchanged since the formation of the solar system. The environment here is different. It is cleaner, colder, and more primordial. The dust here is the dust of creation. The darkness here is the darkness of the beginning. The hibernation was necessary. If the instruments had been left on for all those years, they might have degraded. The sensors might have lost their sensitivity. The electronics might have grown tired, but by sleeping, by resting in the cold, the spacecraft remained young. It preserved its capabilities for the moment that mattered. It was saving itself for the encounter that would redefine our understanding of the solar system. Every now and then, during those long years, the team back on Earth would gently wake it up for a brief checkup, just to make sure the systems were still responsive. They would send a signal across the billions of kilometers of emptiness, a signal that traveled at the speed of light, but still took hours to arrive. And the spacecraft would answer. It would send back a simple tone, a digital whisper, saying, "I am here. I am sleeping. I am safe." And then, satisfied, the team would command it to return to its slumber, and it would drift on, a silent sentinel in the night. This period of hibernation lasted until the approach began in earnest. It was a long, patient wait, a wait that required faith from the scientists and engineers who built it. They had to trust that their creation would survive the cold, that it would survive the radiation, that it would survive the sheer loneliness of the void. And the spacecraft did not disappoint. It held its course true, a steady arrow flying through the dark, getting closer and closer to the world that had been nothing but a mystery for so long. As we drift alongside this sleeping vessel in our imagination, we can feel the profound peace of its journey. There is no rush here. There is no urgency. Even though it is moving at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, to an observer floating nearby, it would seem motionless, suspended against the backdrop of the Milky Way. The stars do not streak by like in the movies. They remain fixed and unmoving, ancient watchers of this long voyage. The only change is the gradual, almost imperceptible growth of a small, dim point of light ahead, the dwarf planet Pluto, waiting to be revealed. This long sleep was not a waste of time. It was a preparation. It was a gathering of potential. Just as we sleep to restore our bodies and minds, the spacecraft slept to ensure its readiness. It was a deep, restorative rest before the most important work of its life began. And as it drifted, it carried with it the hopes of those who sent it, a silent promise that the wait would be worth it, that the darkness would eventually give way to the light of discovery. We can sense the coldness of the metal, the absolute zero of the shadows, and the faint distant warmth of the sun on its antenna. It is a machine, yes, but in this story it feels like a living thing, a dormant seed floating on the wind, waiting for the fertile ground where it will finally bloom. It is a testament to the power of rest, the power of stillness in the midst of a long journey. And so, for nearly a decade, the New Horizons probe remained in this state of quietude. It became a part of the rhythm of the outer solar system, a rhythm that is slow, heavy, and majestic. It became a companion to the comets and the wandering asteroids. It became a silent observer of the deep black sea of space, moving ever closer to the edge, ever closer to the moment when it would finally open its eyes and show us a world we had never seen before. This was the long hibernation, a time of peace, a time of patience, a time of drifting through the eternal night, held in the gentle embrace of the cosmos, waiting for the dawn of a new discovery. And then, the moment arrived. After the long years of silent drifting, after the endless miles of emptiness where the only company was the distant, unblinking stars, a signal was sent. It traveled from the blue warmth of Earth, racing at the speed of light across the cold void, a silent command whispering through the antennas of the sleeping vessel. It was time to wake up. Slowly, system by system, the New Horizons probe stirred from its electronic slumber. It was not a sudden jolt, but a gentle rising of consciousness, like a sleeper opening their eyes to a quiet dawn. The heaters warmed the instruments, the computers hummed back to life, and the cameras, which had been shuttered against the dark, prepared to look once more at the universe. But this time, they did not look at the empty blackness. They looked ahead, and there, floating in the center of the view, was the destination. It was no longer a speck of light. It was a world. As the spacecraft drew closer, the fuzzy, pixelated images that had teased astronomers for decades began to resolve into clarity. Every day, as the probe moved silently forward, the veil was lifted a little more. The blobs of color sharpened into landscapes. The vague shadows became valleys and plains. It was a slow revelation, a striptease of the cosmos, performed with infinite patience. And what was revealed was a sight that defied all expectation. We had expected a dead world, a grey, cratered relic similar to our own moon, frozen in time and untouched by change. But Pluto was not grey. As the high-resolution images began to flow back to Earth, trickling in slowly over the vast distance, we saw a tapestry of colours. There were deep, charcoal blacks, burnt oranges, and brilliant, blinding whites. It was a painting created by the chemistry of the cold, a masterpiece of ices that had been interacting with the faint sunlight for billions of years. Dominating this new and beautiful face was a feature that captured the imagination of the entire world. There, emblazoned upon the side of the dwarf planet, was a perfect, pale shape. It looked like a heart. It was a vast, bright region, starkly contrasting with the darker terrains around it. We call it Tombar Regio, in honor of the astronomer who first spotted Pluto as a moving dot in the night sky. But to the eyes of the dreamers, it will always simply be the heart of Pluto. It is a poetic signature, a symbol of love etched onto the coldest surface imaginable, waiting at the edge of the solar system to greet us. Let us drift down now, in our minds, toward this great white heart. As we approach, we realize that this is not a solid block of white rock. The western lobe of the heart, a region known as Sputnik Planitia, is a vast plain of ice, that it is not the water ice we know on Earth, the kind that freezes into hard, brittle cubes in our drinks. This is something far more exotic, far more delicate. This immense basin, stretching out for 1,000 kilometers, is filled with nitrogen ice. In the unimaginable cold of Pluto, where the temperature sits at -229 degrees Celsius, water ice becomes as hard and rigid as granite rock. It forms the bedrock, the unmoving skeleton of the planet. But nitrogen is different. At these temperatures, nitrogen ice is soft. It is pliable. It yields to gravity. Imagine a substance with the consistency of toothpaste or warm wax, yet cold enough to freeze the air in your lungs instantly. This is the nitrogen glacier of Sputnik Planitia. It is a sea that does not splash, a river that does not rush. It is a fluid landscape that moves with a slowness that borders on stillness. If we were to stand on the edge of this great white plain, we would see a flatness that stretches out to the horizon, smoother than any frozen lake on Earth. There are no waves here. There is no wind to whip the surface into a frenzy. There is only the long, slow creep of the ice. It flows from the higher elevations, spilling down into the basin, filling every crack and crevice, leveling the world into a perfect sheet of white. It is a silence so deep it can be felt in the bones. The movement of these glaciers is measured not in meters per second, but in centimeters per year. It is a geological patience. We can imagine the ice sliding past the harder, darker bedrock, a slow-motion embrace that has continued for millions of years. It is a world where time itself seems to have thickened, where the urgency of movement has been replaced by the inevitability of flow. One of the most profound mysteries that New Horizons reveal to us is the youth of this surface. When we look at most bodies in the solar system, the Moon, Mercury, the asteroids, these craters are the scars of history, the records of billions of years of cosmic collisions. They tell a story of violence and impact. But when the cameras looked at the heart of Pluto, at the smooth expanse of Sputnik Planitia, they found something miraculous. There were no craters, not a single one. In a solar system filled with flying debris, filled with the remnants of creation that are constantly striking worlds, this absence is startling. It implies that the surface we are looking at is new. It is fresh. It has been wiped clean. It means that Pluto is alive. It is not alive in the biological sense, with breathing creatures or growing forests. It is alive in a geological sense. The nitrogen ice is constantly renewing itself. It is a restless surface. Just as a resurfaced road covers the potholes of the past, the flowing ice of Pluto erases the craters. If a meteorite were to strike this plain today, leaving a scar in the soft white surface over the course of the next few million years, a mere blink of an eye in cosmic time, the nitrogen would slowly flow back in. It would fill the hole, smooth over the edges, and heal the wound, leaving the face of the planet pristine once more. This realization changes everything. We used to think of these distant frozen worlds as dead artifacts, preserved in the deep freeze of space. But here, at the absolute edge of the sun's influence, is a world that breathes, and it does breathe in its own slow way. The nitrogen ice of Sputnik Planitia is not just a stagnant sheet. If we look closely at the high-resolution images, we can see a pattern. The vast plain is divided into giant shapes, like a puzzle of polygons. These shapes are huge, 10 to 40 kilometers across, separated by shallow troughs. These are convection cells. It is a colossal, slow-motion churning. Deep beneath the surface, the nitrogen ice is slightly warmer, perhaps heated by the faint, dying warmth of Pluto's core. This warmer ice becomes buoyant and rises slowly, like a bubble in a lava lamp, but moving at a pace that would take eons to perceive. It rises to the surface, spreads out, cools in the chill of space, and then sinks back down at the edges, creating the troughs that define the polygons. It is a heartbeat of the planet, a rhythmic overturning of the crust that happens in complete silence. Imagine standing there and knowing that the solid ground beneath your feet is actually a churning ocean of ice, moving with a slowness that defies human perception. It is a dance of thermodynamics played out on a planetary scale. Around the edges of this great nitrogen sea, the ice interacts with the surrounding terrain in ways that are mesmerizing to behold. We see glaciers of nitrogen flowing down through valleys between the mountains. These are not the crushing, grinding glaciers of Earth that carve through rock with violence. These are softer flows. They move like a viscous fluid, oozing around obstacles, pooling in low points. In some places, the nitrogen ice has flowed into ancient craters on the surrounding highlands, filling them up until they look like circular lakes of white milk frozen in time. In other places, the ice has surrounded hills and mountains, isolating them. The dark, water ice mountains rise out of the white plains, like islands in a frozen sea, or like icebergs floating in a calm, white ocean. But these are icebergs made of rock-hard water ice. It is a reversal of everything we know. On Earth, rocks are hard and water flows. On Pluto, water is the rock and nitrogen is the river. The sheer beauty of this contrast is enough to calm the busiest mind. The bright, reflective white of the heart against the dark, reddish-brown of the Cthulhu region creates a visual harmony. The Cthulhu region is ancient, covered in a layer of tholins, complex organic molecules that have rained down from the atmosphere over billions of years, staining the ground dark. It is the old skin of Pluto, battered and cratered, bearing the weight of history, and nestled against this ancient darkness is the bright young heart. It is a poetic duality, the old and the new, the dark and the light, the static and the flowing, existing side by side in the quiet dark. As we drift over this landscape, we can imagine the feeling of being there. The gravity is weak, only a fraction of what we feel on Earth. If you were to step onto the surface, you would feel incredibly light, as if a great weight had been lifted from your shoulders. You could float across the ice with long, effortless strides. The sun is so far away that it provides very little heat. It hangs in the sky like a brilliant diamond, casting long, sharp shadows across the ice. But even in this dim light, the nitrogen plains glow. They reflect the starlight and the weak sunlight, shimmering with a soft, ethereal luminescence. It is a twilight world, a land of perpetual dusk, where the sun never rises high enough to chase away the shadows, and night is never far away. The atmosphere is thin and hazy, a delicate veil that clings to the surface. It does not block the view of the stars. Even during the day, the sky is black, dusted with the glitter of the cosmos. You can see the Milky Way stretching overhead, a river of light mirroring the river of ice below. There is a profound sense of peace in knowing that this world exists. It does not care about our schedules or our deadlines. It does not worry about the future. It simply is. It cycles through its slow, majestic changes, driven by the laws of physics, indifferent to observation. The nitrogen rises and falls. The glaciers creep forward. The heart beats its slow, geological rhythm for millions of years before we ever gave it a name, before we ever built a telescope, before humans even walked the earth. This heart was there. It was beating in the dark, churning its ice, smoothing its face, waiting, and long after we are gone, it will continue to do so. It is a comforting thought to know that in the grand scheme of things, there are places of such perfect, undisturbed stillness. Places where the only movement is the slow drift of a glacier, and the only sound is the silence of the void. And so, the New Horizons probe, having woken from its sleep, drifted past this wonder. It captured the light from the ice and sent it back to us, a digital postcard from the edge. It showed us that even in the coldest, darkest corners of the universe, there is beauty. There is activity. There is a heart, beating slowly, softly, in the deep sleep of the cosmos. Let this image of the white, smooth plain settle in your mind. A vast, level field of ice, flawless and serene, stretching out under a star-filled sky. It is a place where you could rest forever, undisturbed, floating in the gentle grip of a small, quiet world. The scars of the past are healed here. The surface is made new, and all is silent. If we were to lower our altitude, drifting down from the high orbit where the curvature of the planet is visible, and hover just a few thousand meters above the gleaming white surface of the Sputnik Planitia, the view would change. From a distance, the heart looked smooth, like a sheet of milk poured onto a table, but up close, the texture of this world reveals itself to be far more intricate. A complex mosaic designed by the laws of physics in the absence of living hands. We find ourselves looking down at a vast network of shapes that cover the ice plains. These are the giant polygons, geometrical figures that fit together perfectly, stretching across the entire area like the tiles of a colossal white floor. They are immense, each one varying in size, some as wide as a city, others stretching for tens of kilometers, separated from their neighbors by shallow dipping troughs. They are the visible surface of the slow churning engine we spoke of before. They are convection cells. Imagine a pot of oatmeal simmering on a stove, where the heat from below causes the thick mixture to rise in the center, spread out to the sides and then sink back down. Now slow that process down until it takes 500,000 years for a single bubble to rise. Freeze it until it is solid enough to walk on, yet soft enough to flow. That is the surface of Pluto. The ridges that define these polygons are likely caused by a process known as sublimation. This is the way Pluto breathes. In the physics of our warmer Earth, we are used to the cycle of melting and freezing. Ice turns to water, water turns to ice. But on Pluto, the pressure is so low and the cold so intense that liquid cannot easily exist on the surface. The ice here skips the liquid phase entirely. When the faint sunlight touches the nitrogen surface, it does not melt. It simply fades away. It transforms directly from a solid into a gas, vanishing into the thin air, like a spirit leaving a body. This process creates a landscape that is constantly being sculpted by the light. As we look closer at the polygonal cells, we can see that their surfaces are not perfectly flat. They are pitted, textured, like the skin of an orange or the bark of a birch tree, etched with tiny cups and ridges where the ice has turned to vapor. It is a process of gentle erosion, a slow-motion evaporation that eats away at the ground even as the convection from below renews it. This is the respiration of the dwarf planet. It is a breath that takes centuries to inhale and exhale. When Pluto moves closer to the Sun in its eccentric elliptical orbit, the heat increases, just a fraction of a degree, but enough to wake the ices. The nitrogen sublimates more rapidly, turning into gas, and the atmosphere of the planet swells. The air becomes thicker, richer with nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide. The planet inhales the substance of its own surface, wrapping itself in a denser blanket of gas. But as Pluto moves away from the sun, drifting back into the deeper, colder dark, a journey it is beginning now, the process reverses. The planet begins to exhale. The atmosphere cools. The gas loses its energy and can no longer stay aloft. It begins to freeze out of the sky, falling back to the ground not as rain, but as a delicate, invisible snow. The atmosphere collapses, settling back onto the surface, waiting for the next spring, which will not come for another 200 years. This cycle means that Pluto is a shapeshifter. Its appearance may change dramatically over the course of its long year. If we could watch a time-lapse video of this world spanning millions of years, we might see the heart expanding and contracting, the atmosphere blooming and fading, the ices migrating from pole to equator and back again. It is a living dynamic, a planetary physiology that operates on a timescale so vast it feels like eternity to us. As we drift over the boundary where the white nitrogen plains meet the dark, chaotic highlands, we see evidence of another kind of movement, the wind. It is hard to imagine wind in an atmosphere as thin as Pluto's, where the pressure is 100,000 times less than on Earth. It is a whisper of an atmosphere, a ghost of air. And yet, it is enough. There are dunes here. Along the edge of the Sputnik Planitia, near the base of the Alidrisi Mountains, we see ripples in the landscape. These are transverse dunes, stretching out in parallel lines, mimicking the great sand deserts of Earth, like the Sahara or the Taklamakan. But these dunes are not made of silica sand. They are made of tiny grains of solid methane ice. We think that, as the nitrogen ice sublimates, turning into gas, it acts like a gentle jet, lifting these tiny methane particles into the air. Once airborne, the weak winds of Pluto, blowing softly across the plains, carry the grains along. They drift like dust motes in a sunbeam, settling against the mountain ranges, piling up grain by grain, century by century, until they form these vast fields of dunes. There is something profoundly peaceful about the idea of dunes forming in a near vacuum. On Earth, dunes are born of storms and fierce winds. On Pluto, they are born of a sigh. They are built by a breeze so gentle it would not even ruffle the hair on your head. Yet given enough time, given the endless patience of the cosmos, it can build mountains of sand. It is a testament to the power of small, persistent forces. It reminds us that you do not need to be loud or forceful to change the world. You only need to be consistent. And what of the sky above these dunes? If we were to look up, lifting our gaze from the icy ground, we would see one of the most unexpected and beautiful sights in the solar system. We would see blue. When the New Horizons probe sent back color images of Pluto's atmosphere, the scientists were stunned to see a ring of blue light surrounding the silhouette of the planet. It was a familiar hue, a color that reminded us of home. But this blue is not caused by water droplets. It is caused by haze. The atmosphere of Pluto is filled with layers of haze. The sunlight, traveling 5 billion kilometers to reach this world, strikes the methane and nitrogen molecules in the upper atmosphere. It breaks them apart, triggering complex chemical reactions that create tiny particles called tholins. These particles slowly drift down through the atmosphere, scattering the sunlight, stripping away the red wavelengths and leaving only the blue to reach our eyes. It is structured. New Horizons revealed that there are up to 20 distinct layers of haze, stacked on top of each other like the delicate layers of a wedding veil or the sheets of mica in a rock. Some of these layers extend high above the surface, while others hug the ground. In the photographs, we can see the sunlight streaming through them, creating crepuscular rays, shafts of light and shadow that cut through the gloom. Imagine floating through these haze layers. It would be like drifting through a thin blue smoke. It is quiet here, high above the ground. The shadows of the mountains stretch out for hundreds of kilometers, sharp and black against the glowing ice. The layers of haze do not appear to be level. They undulate and warp, following the hidden currents of the thin air, touching the surface in some places and rising high in others. It creates a sense of depth and scale that makes the planet feel this is not just a ball of rock. It is a world with weather, with an environment, with a mood. The haze acts as a soft filter, diffusing the harsh light of the sun, bathing the surface in a dreamlike twilight glow. It is a Pluto time that lasts forever, a perpetual state of dawn or dusk where the sun is low and the shadows are long. In this dim light, the temperature on the surface averages -229 degrees. It is a cold that stops almost all molecular motion. And yet, as we have seen, the world, the nitrogen flows, the methane dunes migrate, the atmosphere expands and contracts, the haze settles. There is a section of the landscape called Tartarus Dorsa, where the terrain takes on a strange snakeskin appearance. Here, the ice has been eroded into blade-like ridges called penitentes, standing hundreds of meters tall. They look like a forest of giant knives or shards of bark peeling from an ancient tree. These too are the result of sublimation, sculpted by the angle of the sun and the persistence of time. They are monuments to the process of evaporation, towering statues carved by the light itself. Even the color of the planet tells a story of this breath. The tholins, those particles formed in the haze, eventually settle onto the surface. They are reddish-brown, the color of rust or dried blood. Where the surface is old and stable, like in the Cthulhu macula, these tholins accumulate, staining the ice dark red. But where the surface is active, like in the heart of Sputnik Planitia, the fresh nitrogen ice covers them up, keeping the surface bright and white. So the color of the ground is a map of time. The dark red areas are the ancient lands, unchanged for billions of years, covered in the dust of the atmosphere. The bright white areas are the new lands, the breathing lands, constantly refreshing themselves. And in between there are the transition zones, the burnt oranges and the pinks, where the old and the new mix together in a slow, swirling palette. As we float here, suspended in the blue haze, looking down at the slow-motion churning of the nitrogen sea and the stillness of the methane dunes, we can feel a profound sense of connection to the rhythm of the universe. We often think of space as a place of dead silence, but it is really a place of quiet transformation. Nothing is ever truly static. Even the coldest stone, given enough time, will change. The atmosphere of Pluto is a fragile thing. It is held to the planet by gravity that is weak, yet sufficient gravity. It is a temporary blanket that comes and goes with the seasons. And right now, as we observe it, it is in a state of grace. It is catching the light of a distant star and scattering it into a halo of blue, a beacon of serenity in the outer dark. We can imagine the New Horizons spacecraft passing through the shadow of Pluto. As it flew behind the planet, looking back toward the sun, it saw the atmosphere lit up from behind. It saw a ring of fire, or rather, a ring of cold blue light. encircling the black disk of the world. It was a silhouette of perfect stillness. This is the breath of the dwarf. Not the rapid, desperate panting of a short-lived creature, but the long, slow, deep breath of a world that measures its life in eons. It inhales the warmth, it exhales the cold. It builds dunes from dust and mountains from water. It paints its own sky blue. And now, let us leave the atmosphere and the plains for a moment. Let us drift toward the horizon, where the mountains rise. But these are not just mountains. In the distance, there are shapes that suggest something even more mysterious is happening beneath the crust. There are mountains that look like volcanoes, but they do not spew fire. They spew ice. Let us prepare to drift toward the cryovolcanoes, the ice fountains of the deep. But for now, rest in the image of the blue haze. Let the layers of soft light wrap around you. Imagine breathing in that cool, thin air. Not literally, but in your spirit. A breath of pure stillness. A breath of quiet. The planet breathes, and in its rhythm we find our own rest. The cycle continues, unseen and unheard, a silent clock ticking at the edge of the night. As we leave the mesmerizing, shifting dunes of the nitrogen plains behind, the landscape begins to rise. We are drifting away from the smooth, beating heart of the planet and moving toward the rugged, chaotic terrains that border it. Here, the ground changes. It is no longer the soft, yielding wax of nitrogen ice that flows like a slow river. Here, the ground is hard, ancient, and unyielding. We have arrived at the foothills of the great mountain ranges of Pluto, the Norgay, and Hilary Montes. To understand these mountains, we must first understand the water. On our own blue planet, water is the element of motion. It rushes in rivers, it crashes in waves, it falls as rain. It is the very definition of fluidity. But here, in the deep freeze of the Kuiper Belt, water undergoes a transformation. At temperatures of minus 229 degrees Celsius, water ice forgets its liquid nature. It becomes something else entirely. It becomes the bedrock. At these temperatures, water ice is as strong and rigid as rock. It has the compressive strength of granite. It can support immense weight without buckling or flowing. And so, on Pluto, water does not flow into the sea. It rises up to scrape the sky. Imagine standing at the base of one of these peaks. They tower over the landscape, rising 3 to 4 kilometers into the thin black sky. That is as high as the Rocky Mountains or the Alps, vast jagged pyramids of frozen water standing sentinel in the dark. Because Pluto is so small and its horizon is so close, these mountains appear titanic, dominating the view, their summits seemingly piercing the stars themselves. They are not smooth like the nitrogen plains. They are rugged, sharp, and broken, tearing at the horizon with wild, chaotic angles. They are giant blocks of crust that have been tilted and uplifted by the churning forces below. They are the water towers of this world, vast reservoirs of ice that will never melt, monuments to the permanence of the cold. As we ascend the slopes in our imagination, drifting effortlessly up the sheer cliffs of grey and white, we notice a change in the color. The lower slopes are dark, covered in the reddish dust of tholins, that ancient organic soot that falls from the sky. But as we reach the peaks, we see something familiar, yet strange. The summits are capped in white. It looks like snow, It looks like the majestic snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas or the Andes. And in a way, it is snow, but not as we know it. This is not water that has fallen from clouds. This is methane. On Earth, snow falls from the sky when the air cools down as it rises over a mountain. But on Pluto, the process is reversed. The atmosphere is actually warmer at higher altitudes due to the interaction with the faint sunlight. The surface is the coldest place, yet there is a narrow zone, a specific altitude on these peaks, where the methane in the atmosphere condenses directly onto the ice. It settles there as a bright, shimmering frost. It is a spectral snow, a ghost of the atmosphere clinging to the highest points of the world. It paints the tips of the dark red mountains in blinding white, creating a landscape of stark, beautiful contrasts. Dark red valleys, grey slopes of water ice bedrock, and brilliant white summits of methane frost. It is a scene that feels both alien and intimately familiar, a cosmic rhyme with the mountains of our own home. From this vantage point, high atop the Norgay Montes, we can look out across the horizon. And what we see is not just rock and ice, but the evidence of a deep, slow churning from within. To the south of the Sputnik Planitia, we find features that challenge everything we thought we knew about small, cold worlds. We find the cryovolcanoes. Let us drift toward them. The most prominent one is known as Right Mons. It is a colossal structure, a mountain that spans 150 kilometers across and rises 4 kilometers into the air. But it does not look like the jagged, broken blocks of the water ice mountains we just left. It is smoother, rounder, with gently sloping sides that swell up from the ground like a great blister. And at its center, there is a hole. It is a vast depression, a caldera as deep as the mountain is high. On Earth, a volcano is a place of fire and fury, of molten rock and choking ash. But here, in the silent realm of Pluto, volcanism is a quiet, cold affair. Right Mons is a cryovolcano, an ice volcano. It does not erupt with an explosion. It erupts with a sigh. We believe that deep beneath the surface, there is a reservoir of slush, a mixture of water, ammonia, and tholins. The ammonia acts as antifreeze, lowering the melting point of the water, allowing it to remain in a semi-liquid state even in the freezing crust. When the pressure builds, this mixture does not blast into the sky. It oozes. It wells up from the deep vents, a slow-moving slurry of ice and water, thick and viscous like toothpaste or cooling lava. It spills over the rim of the caldera and flows down the sides of the mountain, erasing craters, filling valleys, and paving the world in a new layer of material. It is a magma of water. Imagine watching this process. It would be almost imperceptible. You would not see the flow moving with your eyes. You would have to take a picture, wait a year, and take another picture to see the change. It is a geological oozing, a slow resurfacing that keeps the skin of the volcano young and smooth. The material that flows out is fascinating. It is not pure white. It is stained with the tholins from the interior, giving the volcano a reddish hue. It is a slurry of the building blocks of life: water, organics, heat, bubbling up from the deep, dark interior of the planet and freezing instantly upon contact with the vacuum of space. There is another giant nearby, Picard Mons, even taller than Right Mons, rising 7 kilometers high. It too sits in silence, a massive mound of ice with a gaping crater at the summit, a testament to the fact that this small world still holds heat in its heart. It is still trying to turn itself inside out, slowly recycling its material in a loop that has lasted for billions of years. These cryovolcanoes remind us that the universe is creative. It uses whatever materials it has at hand. If it has rock and fire, it makes volcanoes of lava. If it has ice and cold, it makes volcanoes of water. The physics are the same, only the actors have changed. It is a variation on a theme played out in the minor key of the outer solar system. As we hover over these sleeping giants, we become aware of the light. The sun is small, yes, but its light is sharp and clear. And it reveals something else about the landscape, the shadows. Because there is almost no scattering of light on the surface itself, the shadows on Pluto are ink black. They are pools of absolute darkness. Behind every boulder, every ridge, and every mountain peak lies a stretch of night. The contrast between the lit side and the shadowed side of the terrain is stark and dramatic. It makes the topography look exaggerated, almost like a computer rendering or a toy model illuminated by a single spotlight in a dark room. But looking up, the view softens. We spoke of the blue haze before, but here, among the high peaks, we can truly appreciate its depth. The mountains of water ice reach up into the lower layers of this haze. The summits are veiled in a thin blue mist. This atmosphere is not just a backdrop, it is a physical presence. As New Horizons looked back at Pluto, seeing the dark side of the planet, it saw the sunlight filtering through these layers. It revealed a structure of exquisite delicacy. The haze is not a solid wall of fog. It is stratified. There are distinct, thin layers of haze, separated by clearer air, stacked one on top of another for dozens of kilometers. It looks like the layers of a puff pastry, or the strata of sedimentary rock, but made of light and air. These layers are dynamic. They are likely created by gravity waves, not waves of water, but waves of buoyancy in the atmosphere that ripple through the sky, compressing the haze into thin, bright sheets. From the top of Right Mons, looking out through this layered veil, the stars would appear to twinkle through the blue mist. The sun would be surrounded by a halo of scattered light. It gives the world a sense of enclosure, a feeling that despite the emptiness of space around it, Pluto is wrapped in a soft, protective cocoon. There is a phenomenon here known as airglow. The chemical reactions in the upper atmosphere, driven by the solar wind and ultraviolet light, cause the gas molecules to emit a faint light of their own. Even on the night side of Pluto, where the sun does not shine, the ground may not be pitch black. It might be bathed in the incredibly faint, ghostly luminescence of the atmosphere itself, a night light that never goes out. It is a world of subtle illumination, a world where the ground glows with ice, the sky glows with haze, and the mountains glow with methane frost. It is a visual symphony of low light, played in the quietest corner of the sun's realm. As we drift away from the volcanoes and the mountains, moving toward the edge of the encounter, we can reflect on the sheer scale of what we are seeing. These mountains, these frozen fountains, they are standing on a world that is smaller than our moon. And yet, they possess a grandeur that rivals anything on Earth. They tell us that size does not equal complexity. A small world can have a big story. A cold world can have a warm heart. A distant world can feel surprisingly close to home. The water ice towers of Nogues Montes stand firm, holding up the sky. The slushy heart of Right Mons beats slowly, oozing its lifeblood of water onto the surface. And above it all, the blue veil of the atmosphere hangs suspended in the silence. A fragile, beautiful curtain separating the living world below from the eternal void above. Let us linger here for a moment, perched on the rim of the cryovolcano, watching the slow, invisible flow of the ice, breathing in the blue light, and feeling the perfect, heavy stillness of a world that is completely at peace with itself. As we drift away from the towering spires of the water ice mountains and the misty veils of the atmosphere, we turn our attention to the ground beneath us. At first glance, the surface of Pluto seems solid, impenetrable, a frozen shell locked in a permanent stasis. We see the cracks and the canyons, the ridges and the valleys, and we assume that this world is frozen through and through, a solid ball of ice and rock drifting in the deep freeze of the Kuiper Belt. But the New Horizons mission revealed a secret that lies buried in the dark. It is a secret that challenges our understanding of what it means to be a cold world. Deep beneath that jagged, icy crust, shielded from the vacuum of space and the bitter cold of the surface, there is likely a sea. It is not a sea like the oceans of Earth, with crashing waves and sun-dappled waters. It is a hidden sea, a global ocean of liquid water wrapped in a shell of nitrogen and methane ice. It is a subterranean realm of absolute darkness, a place where the pressure is immense and the silence is heavy. It sits between the rocky core of the planet and the icy crust, a layer of liquid that might be hundreds of kilometers deep, hugging the entire planet in a wet, warm embrace. The evidence for this hidden ocean is written on the face of the world itself. As we look down at the landscape, specifically in regions like Virgil Fosse, we see enormous fractures. These are not simple valleys carved by rivers or glaciers. They are tectonic scars. They are vast, deep cracks where the crust of the planet has been pulled apart. If Pluto had formed cold and simply frozen solid over time, the planet would have contracted, it would have shrunk like a drying fruit, and the crust would have wrinkled up into ridges, folding over itself. But we do not see contraction here. Instead, we see expansion. We see a world that has swollen, a world that has stretched. The cracks show that the crust is moving apart, tearing open to reveal the stress of the interior. This expansion suggests that Pluto has undergone a complex history of freezing and thawing. Or perhaps it suggests that the water inside is slowly freezing. As water freezes, it expands, a unique property that makes ice cubes float in a glass. If the ocean inside Pluto is slowly turning to ice, it would push outward, causing the planet to swell, cracking its outer shell like the crust of a baking loaf of bread. But where did this water come from? And how can it remain liquid so far from the warmth of the sun? For a long time, astronomers believed that Pluto formed cold. They thought it came together slowly in the distant nebula, a collection of frozen dust and gas that gently coalesced into a ball. In this version of the story, Pluto would have been a solid ice dwarf from the very beginning. However, the evidence from New Horizons tells a different story. It suggests a hot start. Let us travel back in time, billions of years ago, to the birth of the solar system. Imagine the chaotic swirl of the primordial cloud, where dust and rocks were colliding and merging to build the planets. In this early epoch, the formation of Pluto was likely rapid and violent. The energy from all those impacts, the crashing together of thousands of comets and asteroids, would have generated immense heat. Instead of a cold, slow birth, Pluto was born in a flash of thermal energy. It started its life hot, perhaps even molten. This heat would have melted the ices, separating the heavy rock which sank to the center to form the core, from the lighter water, which rose to form a global ocean. Over billions of years, the surface cooled and froze, forming the thick icy shell we see today. But the heat from that violent beginning, combined with the slow, steady warmth generated by the decay of radioactive elements in the rocky core, has been trapped inside. The crust acts as a blanket, a thermal insulator that keeps the heat from escaping into space. And so, deep inside, the water remains liquid. It is an ocean preserved by the planet's own history, a relic of its fiery birth kept safe in the cold dark. This changes our perspective entirely. We are not looking at a dead rock. We are looking at an ocean world, a sibling to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, like Europa and Enceladus. There is another piece of evidence that points to this heavy, hidden ocean, and it brings us back to the Great White Heart, Sputnik Planitia. This vast basin of nitrogen ice is not just a surface feature, it is a gravitational anomaly. When the New Horizons team measured the gravity of Pluto, they found something strange. Sputnik Planitia is a hole in the ground, a basin 3 kilometers deep. Logic dictates that a hole should have less mass than the surrounding mountains. It should have less gravity. But instead, it has a positive gravitational anomaly. It has more gravity. It pulls harder than the rest of the planet. How can a hole be heavier than a mountain? The answer lies in the ocean. We believe that the crust beneath Sputnik Planitia is thinner than elsewhere because the heavy nitrogen ice has pushed down on the crust. The semi-fluid ocean beneath it has welled up to fill the space. Water is denser than ice. So, even though there is a depression on the surface, beneath it lies a massive bulge of liquid water, rising up closer to the surface. This creates a concentration of mass that is invisible to the eye, but felt by the gravity of the cosmos. This extra mass is so significant that it has actually reoriented the entire planet. Imagine gluing a heavy weight to the side of a spinning ball. The ball will roll over until that weight settles into a stable position. We believe that Sputnik Planitia was not originally located where it is today. As the basin filled with heavy nitrogen ice and the ocean welled up beneath it, the imbalance caused Pluto to tip over. It was a slow planetary roll. Over millions of years, the entire world rotated, shifting its axis until the heavy heart was perfectly aligned directly opposite Charon, its largest moon. This is why the heart faces away from Charon. It is locked in a gravitational embrace, held in place by the tidal forces between the two worlds. It is a mechanism of balance, a planetary feng shui orchestrated by the laws of physics. This implies that the ocean is not just a passive layer. It is an active participant in the life of the planet. It shapes the orientation of the world. It drives the tectonic cracking of the surface. It is the hidden engine that powers the slow evolution of Pluto. And if there is water, and if there is heat, and if there are organic molecules, the tholins and the methane we have seen in abundance, then we must ask the question that always comes to mind when we find water. Could there be life? We are not talking about complex creatures swimming in the dark. We are talking about the potential for something far simpler, something microscopic. If Pluto has had an ocean for billions of years, protected by an ice shell enriched by minerals from the rocky core, then it possesses the 3 ingredients necessary for life as we know it: liquid water, energy, and chemistry. It is a profound thought to hold in your mind as you drift towards sleep. Far out at the edge of the solar system, where the sun is just a star and the cold is absolute, there might be a warm, salty sea, a place where the chemistry of life could potentially stir in the dark. This ocean would be chemically rich. It likely contains ammonia, which acts as an antifreeze, keeping the water liquid even at very low temperatures. It might be thick and syrupy, a viscous fluid moving slowly in the dark. It would be a place of eternal stillness, far removed from the storms and the radiation of the surface. The hot start theory and the evidence of expansion give us a new vision of the Kuiper Belt. It is not just a graveyard of cold debris. It is a nursery of potential. If Pluto can have an ocean, then perhaps other dwarf planets, Eris, Makemake, Haumea, might also have hidden seas. The outer solar system might be filled with billions of liters of liquid water, all hidden inside these icy shells, like pearls hidden inside oysters. We see the surface cracks, the Virgil fossae, as the stretch marks of this inner world. They are deep, red gashes in the crust, steep, walled canyons that run for hundreds of kilometers. Inside these canyons, the walls are stained dark red with tholins, and the floors are shadowed and mysterious. They are the windows into the stress of the planet, the places where the shell could not contain the swelling of the interior. To stand on the edge of one of these great cracks would be to look into the abyss. You would see layers of ice going down for kilometers, revealing the geological history of the crust. And somewhere, far, far below your feet, deeper than you could ever travel, lies that silent, dark ocean. The concept of the hot start also means that Pluto has been cooling down for its entire life. It is a long, slow exhalation of heat. The ocean is slowly freezing, thickening the ice shell, expanding the planet. It is a process that will continue for billions of years more. Pluto is a world that is slowly turning to stone, but it is taking its time. It is in no rush to finish its story. This hidden sea adds a layer of depth to our journey. We are not just exploring a surface, we are exploring a depth. We acknowledge that what we see is only a fraction of what exists. The beauty of the nitrogen glaciers and the water ice mountains is just the skin. The true body of the planet, the warm, fluid interior, remains forever out of reach, protected by the ice, safe in its secrecy. It reminds us that everyone and everything has a hidden depth. There is always more than meets the eye. Just as Pluto hides a warm ocean beneath a frozen face, there are mysteries and warmth hidden in the most unexpected places. As we leave the region of the cracks and the heavy gravity of the heart, we carry with us this knowledge of the deep. We understand now that the planet is not a solid block, but a layered, complex world. A core of rock, a mantle of water, a crust of water ice, and a veneer of nitrogen. It is a world of layers, wrapped around a warm secret, drifting silently through the night. Let your mind rest on the image of that dark, warm water. It is calm, it is still. It is held safely within the planetary shell, untouched by the void outside. It is the ultimate sanctuary, a place where nothing intrudes, a place of perfect equilibrium. If you were to stand on the surface of Pluto, perhaps on the jagged ridges of the Norgay Montes, or amidst the soft rolling dunes of the nitrogen plains, and you were to look up into the black sky, you might see something extraordinary. In most skies across our solar system, moons rise and set. They march across the firmament, marking the passage of time with their changing phases. Our own moon chases the sun, rising in the east and setting in the west, a wandering companion that never stays in one place. But here, in this quiet twilight realm, The sky holds a heavy, silent presence, hanging motionless in the heavens, huge and grey against the stars. Is Charon. Charon is Pluto's largest moon, but to call it merely a moon feels like a disservice to the bond these two worlds share. They are more like siblings, or perhaps eternal lovers, locked in a gravitational embrace so tight, so perfect, that it defies the norms of planetary mechanics. They are a double-planet system, two worlds of ice whirling around a common point in the dark. This is the eternal Waltz. The most profound aspect of their relationship is their stillness relative to one another. Pluto and Charon are tidally locked. This means that they rotate in perfect synchronization with their orbit. Pluto takes exactly 6.4 Earth days to spin once on its axis, and it takes exactly 6.4 Earth days for Charon to orbit around it. The result is a phenomenon of absolute permanence. If you are standing on the side of Pluto that faces Charon, the moon never rises and never sets. It simply hangs there. It is a fixed monument in the sky, a giant cratered eye watching over the world below. It hovers over the same mountain, the same valley, forever. If you were to travel to the other side of Pluto, the far side, you would never see Charon. You could live your entire life there and never know that a giant moon existed, unless you traveled around the curve of the planet to find it waiting for you. This locking is mutual. Charon also keeps the same face pointed toward Pluto. They are trapped in a stare that has lasted for billions of years. They never turn their backs on one another. As they drift through the Kuiper Belt, they spin face to face, like two dancers holding hands, spinning in a circle, their eyes locked, oblivious to the rest of the universe. And they do not just spin around Pluto's center. Because Charon is so massive, nearly half the size of Pluto itself, it pulls back. It exerts a gravitational tug that forces Pluto to wobble. The center of gravity for this system, the point around which they both orbit, is not inside Pluto. It is a point in empty space, suspended between the two worlds. We call this the barycenter. Imagine an invisible pivot point in the darkness, a fulcrum of gravity. Pluto orbits this point in a small, tight circle, while Charon orbits it in a larger, wider loop. They are swinging around this invisible center, balancing each other perfectly. It is a dance of equilibrium, a celestial mechanics of equality. In the silence of space, they perform this pirouette, round and round, a clockwork of ice that marks the slow, steady beat of eons. As we drift closer to Charon, leaving the atmosphere of Pluto behind, we see that this partner is very different from the world we just left. Pluto is a world of color, of reds, oranges, whites, and blacks. It is a world of active geology, of flowing glaciers and shifting hazes. Charon, by contrast, is a world of gray. It is a water-ice world. Its surface is harder, older, and more battered. It does not have the soft nitrogen frosts that smooth over the scars of time. It bears the craters of ancient impacts, the pockmarks of history that have not been erased. It is a silent witness, a stoic guardian that has taken the blows of the cosmos without flinching. But Charon is not entirely grey. As the New Horizons probe approached, capturing images that grew clearer with every passing hour, it revealed a splash of color that stunned the scientists. At the very top of the moon, covering its north pole, is a dark reddish cap. It looks like a stain, or perhaps a hat. We have named this region Mordor Macula, a dark name for a dark place. But the story of how it got there is one of the most poetic interactions in the solar system. This red cap is a gift from Pluto. Recall the atmosphere of Pluto, that thin envelope of nitrogen and methane that expands when the planet is warm and freezes when it is cold. Pluto's gravity is weak, and so, over the millennia, some of its atmosphere escapes. It leaks out into space, drifting away like a faint perfume. But it does not just vanish into the void. Charon is there, waiting. As Charon orbits, it passes through this faint cloud of escaping gas. It acts like a trap, catching the wayward molecules of methane that have wandered too far from home. But catching the gas is only the beginning. The poles of Charon are incredibly cold. They are in a state of permanent shadow for decades at a time during the moon's long winter. When the methane molecules from Pluto land on Charon's winter pole, they freeze instantly. They are trapped in the bitter cold, unable to escape. Then comes the sun. When the seasons finally change and the pole is exposed to the weak, ultraviolet light of the distant sun, the frozen methane undergoes a chemical transformation. The radiation strips the hydrogen away, leaving behind carbon-rich compounds. These compounds link together, forming heavier, stickier molecules. They become tholins. These tholins are not ice. They are a kind of tar, a reddish-brown organic dust. They are too heavy to sublime away. They remain on the surface, painting the pole in a deep, rusty red. Think of it as a form of cosmic spray painting. For billions of years, Pluto has been slowly exhaling its atmosphere, and Charon has been catching it, freezing it, and baking it into a permanent stain. It is a transfer of matter between two worlds, a physical connection that transcends the empty space between them. Pluto is literally coloring its companion. It is a slow, gentle process. Molecule by molecule, layer by layer, the red cap grows. It is a testament to the patience of the universe. It reminds us that even the subtlest actions, repeated over deep time, can leave a mark that is visible from billions of kilometers away. Beneath this red cap, the surface of Charon holds other secrets. There is a vast canyon system that stretches across the moon's equator, a scar so deep and wide it makes the Grand Canyon look like a mere scratch. We call it the Serenity Chasma. This chasm tells us that Charon, too, once had a warm heart. Long ago, it may have had a subsurface ocean of its own. But unlike Pluto, Charon is smaller, and it cooled faster. As its internal ocean froze, the water expanded. The pressure became too great for the crust to contain, and so the moon burst open. The crust ripped apart, creating this colossal tear that girdles the globe. It is a frozen scream of expansion, a monument to the moment when the moon turned solid, but now it is silent. The cliffs of the Serenity Chasma stand 5 kilometers high, sheer walls of ice plunging into shadow. There is no wind to weather them, no water to erode them. They stand in perfect preservation, sharp and jagged, exactly as they were when they first cracked open millions of years ago. As we drift over this grey, scarred landscape, looking down into the abyss of the canyon and up at the red stain of the pole, we feel a different kind of peace. Pluto was a piece of soft flow and gentle change. Charon is a piece of stillness and solidity. It is the piece of a stone that has stopped rolling. But always, dominating the sky of Charon is the face of Pluto. From the surface of Charon, Pluto would appear huge. It would span a significant portion of the sky, a giant, multicolored sphere hanging overhead. You would see the heart, Sputnik Planitia, gleaming white. You would see the brass knuckles of the dark equatorial regions. You would see the blue haze of the atmosphere catching the light. And just as Charon never moves in Pluto's sky, Pluto never moves in Charon's. They are locked together, an eternal audience of two. There is a romance to this physics. In a universe of chaos, where stars explode and galaxies collide, where comets are flung into the dark and asteroids crash into planets, here is a system that has found perfect balance. They have reached an equilibrium. They have negotiated a truce with gravity and settled into a stable, everlasting spin. They are the double planet. They are unique. The Earth and the Moon do not share this bond. The Moon shows us only one face, but the Earth spins rapidly beneath it, showing the Moon all of its sides. But Pluto and Charon have surrendered to each other completely. They have given up their independent rotation to face each other forever. We can imagine the view from a point in space, floating near the barycenter, watching them turn. It is a slow waltz. The background stars are fixed and unmoving. The only motion is the slow, majestic rotation of the two worlds. The white and red of Pluto, the grey and red of Charon. They turn around the invisible center, a pivot point of nothingness that holds them together. It is quiet here. The silence of the vacuum is absolute. There is no friction to slow them down. Unless some outside force disturbs them, they will continue this dance until the sun itself dies. And this brings us a sense of comfort. We often worry about the fleeting nature of things in our lives. We worry about change, about loss, about things drifting apart. But here, at the edge of the night, we see a bond that does not break. We see a connection that endures. The Tholans will continue to fall, painting the moon redder with each passing eon. The tides will continue to hold them in place. The shadows will lengthen and shorten as they orbit the distant sun. But the face-to-face gaze will never be broken as we prepare to leave this system to drift further out into the dark. We look back one last time at the pair. They look like jewels set in velvet, one bright and living, one dark and stoic. They are a reminder that in the vast emptiness of space, it is possible to find a partner. It is possible to find an orbit that works. It is possible to dance in the dark, not alone, but together. Let the image of their slow, circular motion soothe your mind. It is a rhythm of perfect predictability, a rhythm of trust, a rhythm of eternity. Drift with them for a moment. Feel the gentle pull of the gravity that binds them. Feel the lightness of the float. There is no up or down here, only the center and the partner and the stars. The waltz continues, silent and slow, a lullaby of motion that rocks the solar system to sleep. We must now leave the embrace of the double planet. We drift away from the mesmerizing waltz of Pluto and Charon, watching them shrink slowly in the distance until they are nothing more than bright stars in the rearview mirror of our imagination. The New Horizons spacecraft did not stop there. It barely slowed down. Having captured the wonders of the dwarf planet, it continued its silent trajectory, piercing deeper into the veil of the unknown. We are entering the deep Kuiper Belt now. This is a region so far from Earth that it is largely uncharted territory, a place where no machine from our world had ever ventured before. It is a silence that has remained unbroken for 4.5 billion years. The sun is now just a brilliant pinpoint of light, offering no warmth, only a faint, distant guidance. As the spacecraft traveled through this abyss for another 3 years, a strange thing happened to the stars. The distances involved were so immense that the perspective of the universe began to shift. When New Horizons looked back at the closest star system to us, Alpha Centauri, it saw that the star was in a different place compared to where we see it from Earth. This is the parallax effect, a visual reminder of just how far we have drifted from home. We are true voyagers now, sailing so deep into the dark that the constellations themselves are beginning to warp. In this vast emptiness, the mission team searched for a new target. They used the sharp eye of the Hubble Space Telescope to scan the darkness ahead, looking for a whisper of light against the black. They found a faint speck, a tiny world drifting alone in the void. They named it Arrokoth. On the first day of January, in the year 2019, New Horizons flew past this mysterious object. At a distance of over 6 billion kilometers from the Sun, Arrokoth became the most distant object ever visited by humanity. And as the images slowly trickled back across the radio waves, a journey of data that took hours to bridge the gap, we saw something that defied our expectations of a world. Arrokoth is not a sphere. It is not a round planet shaped by strong gravity. It is a contact binary. Imagine 2 separate worlds, 2 rounded stones of ice and rock that have found each other in the dark. They are joined together at a narrow neck, creating a shape that looks undeniably like a snowman floating in space. The larger lobe is known as Ultima, and the smaller one is Thule. They drift as one, a singular entity forged from a union of 2. But the most beautiful part of Arrokoth's story is how this union occurred. In the violent history of the inner solar system, worlds were often created by collisions, smashing together at thousands of kilometers per hour, melting rock and shattering crusts. But here, in the quiet cold of the Kuiper Belt, the physics are gentler. Billions of years ago, in the swirling cloud of ice and dust that birthed the solar system, these 2 lobes formed separately. They were neighbors in the primordial mist. Slowly, over eons, they drifted closer to one another. They did not crash. They spiraled inward, caught in a delicate gravitational dance, spinning around each other, getting closer and closer with every turn. Eventually, they touched, but it was not a collision. It was a docking. The speed at which they met was incredibly slow, no more than 2 meters per second. That is the speed of a person walking casually down a street. Imagine 2 mountains floating in space, gently drifting together until they softly kissed and stuck. There was no fire. There was no explosion. There were no fractures or stress lines created by the impact. They simply touched, and the ice fused them together in a gentle, cold embrace. It reminds us that even in the vastness of space, great things can be built without violence. It is a structure formed by patience and gentle persistence. As we look closer at the surface of this joined world, we notice its color, like the poles of Charon and the ancient terrains of Pluto. Arrokoth is covered in tholins, but unlike Pluto, which has active glaciers to cover the old terrain, Arrokoth is dead silent. Its surface is a pristine relic. It has very few craters. This lack of craters tells us that the Kuiper Belt is a quiet place. It is not a shooting gallery of debris. Collisions here are rare, and when they do happen, they are slow. Arrokoth has preserved its face for billions of years. To look at it is to look directly into the deep past, to see the solar system exactly as it was when the planets were first forming. It is a time capsule. The chemistry of this world is ancient. The redness comes from methanol ice that has been bombarded by cosmic rays over the eons, turning it into complex organic tholins. There is no water on the surface, no nitrogen wind, just the frozen red remnants of the primordial soup, locked in stasis. There is a mystery in its shape, too. When New Horizons first saw it, we thought the two lobes were spheres, like balls of snow. But as the data was analyzed, a stranger truth emerged. They are not spheres. They are flat. The larger lobe, Ultima, is shaped like a giant pancake. The smaller lobe, Thule, is shaped like a dented walnut. We do not fully know why they are flat. Perhaps they were spun out by centrifugal forces when they were still soft clouds of pebbles. But their flatness adds to their charm. They are not perfect, idealized worlds. They are lumpy, organic, and unique. They look like river stones that have been smoothed by a current, though here, the only current is time. Around the neck where the two lobes connect, there is a brighter ring of material. This might be loose dust and ice that has rolled down the steep slopes of the two lobes and collected in the valley between them. It is a collar of brightness, accentuating the point of connection. It marks the place where two became one. Drifting past Arrokoth, we feel the immense solitude of this object. It is small, only about 35 kilometers long. It exerts almost no gravity. If you were to stand on it, you could jump off and float away into space with a simple push of your legs. It is a lonely island in the dark. And yet, it is not lonely in the sad sense. It is complete. It has its partner, fused to its side forever. It rotates slowly, tumbling end over end through the void, exposing one side to the distant sun and then the other, in a cycle that lasts for hours. The temperature here is incredibly low, just 29 degrees above absolute zero. It is a deep freeze that stops all chemistry, all biology, all change, and that is its gift. Because it is so cold, and because it is so undisturbed, Arrokoth holds the memory of our origins. It is a silent storyteller, holding its breath for 4 billion years, waiting for us to fly by and listen. We can imagine the New Horizons probe looking back one last time as it sped away into the dark. It saw the silhouette of Arrokoth against the field of stars, the snowman shape, the red hue, the strange, flat profile. It was a fleeting glimpse of something ancient. Arrokoth teaches us about the gentle accretion of the universe. It teaches us that worlds are born from the slow gathering of dust, the soft clumping of ice, the quiet merger of drifting bodies. It contradicts the violent, chaotic narratives we often impose on the cosmos. Here, creation was a slow, peaceful process. As we leave Arrokoth behind, we are leaving the last charted outpost of our journey. The spacecraft still has fuel. It still has power. It is continuing its voyage toward the edge of the heliosphere, following in the footsteps of the Voyager probes. It is searching for more targets, searching for the black background of the universe. But for us, Arrokoth serves as the final landmark of solid ground. It is the gatekeeper of the deep abyss. It floats there, a red frozen hourglass in the dark, counting time not by the flow of sand, but by the slow accumulation of starlight. Let yourself feel the texture of this world. The smooth, tholin-covered ice, the gentle curve of the connection point, the absolute stillness of the rock. It is a relic of shadows, a piece of the beginning that has survived to the end. And as it recedes into the darkness, blending back into the starfield from which it came, we are left with a sense of wonder at the quiet diversity of the dark. We have seen the active heart of Pluto, the grey canyons of Charon, and now the red, silent embrace of Arrokoth. The universe is full of these quiet miracles. They do not shout. They do not shine brightly. They simply wait, drifting in the gentle current of gravity, content in their solitude. And now, as we drift further out, the physical worlds are behind us. We are entering the realm of pure transition. The transition from the solar system to the interstellar deep. The transition from wakefulness to the deepest layers of sleep. We have traveled far. We have drifted over the nitrogen glaciers, climbed the water ice mountains, peered into the cracks of a hidden ocean, and danced with the silent moons. Now, as we prepare to conclude our exploration of this distant realm, let us pause and consider the light. In our daily lives on Earth, we are creatures of the sun. We are used to the bright, blinding glare of noon, the kind of light that warms our skin and chases away every shadow. But here, at a distance of nearly 5 billion kilometers from the hearth of our solar system, the light is different. The sun is no longer a disk. It is a point. It is a star. The brightest star in the sky, yes, but still just a star. Its light, traveling for over 4 hours to reach us, arrives weak and diluted. It does not strike the ground with force. It touches it with a gentle graze. Scientists have a name for the level of illumination found on Pluto. They call it Pluto time. It sounds like a poetic concept, but it is a very real measurement of brightness. If you want to know what it feels like to stand on the surface of Pluto at high noon, you do not need a spaceship. You only need to wait. Wait for the moment on Earth, just after the sun has set, or just before it rises. That brief, magical window of time we call twilight, the blue hour. It is that moment when the streetlights have not yet turned on, but the colors of the world have begun to mute. The moment when the harsh edges of the day soften into the gray of the coming night. It is a light that is bright enough to read a book by, yet dim enough to let you see the first stars appearing in the canopy above. On Pluto, this twilight does not last for 20 minutes. It lasts forever. It is a world locked in a perpetual state of dusk. There is no harsh glare to squint against. There is only this soft, ambient glow that bathes the ice in a silver luminance. It is a ghost light. It filters through the blue haze of the atmosphere, casting long, dramatic shadows that stretch for kilometers across the plains. In this light, everything feels quiet. The world feels like a library after hours, or a cathedral at night. It is a level of illumination that invites introspection, a light made for dreaming. This dimness is part of the reason why Pluto remained a mystery for so long. For decades, we looked out into the dark with our telescopes, squinting against the void, trying to find this tiny wanderer. And often, people ask a very good question. Why is it that the Hubble Space Telescope can show us crystal clear images of galaxies that are millions of light years away, and yet, when it looked at Pluto, it saw only a blurry blob of pixels? How can we see a city of stars across the universe but fail to see a rock in our own backyard? The answer lies in the nature of size and distance, a concept that astronomers call angular diameter. But let us think of it in a softer way. Imagine you are standing on a hill at night, looking out over a vast, dark valley. Far away, on the distant horizon, there is a great city. It is miles wide, filled with millions of lights. Even though it is far away, you can see the glow, you can see the structure. It occupies a large part of your view because it is huge. That city is like a galaxy. The Andromeda Galaxy, for instance, is 2 million light-years away. That is an unimaginable distance. But Andromeda is also unimaginable in size. It is 220,000 light-years across. It is a swirling island of 1 trillion stars. It is so big that, even from here, it takes up a space in our sky 6 times larger than the full moon. The only reason we do not see it blazing above us every night is that its light is faint. But to a telescope like Hubble, which can gather light over many hours, it is a giant canvas waiting to be painted. Now, imagine that in that same dark valley, much closer to you, perhaps just a few fields away, there is a single, small flower growing in the grass. It is dark. It reflects only a tiny amount of moonlight. Even though it is millions of times closer than the city on the horizon, it is just a speck. It is too small to see. You would need to walk right up to it to see its petals, its texture, its color. Pluto is that flower. It is tiny, smaller than our own moon, smaller even than the continent of North America. And it sits in the dark. From the perspective of Earth, it is a pinprick, a microscopic dot in the vast dome of the sky. It measures just 0.11 arcseconds across. To resolve it from Earth would be like trying to see a coin placed 5 kilometers away. So, the blurry photos of the past were not a failure of our technology. They were a testament to the sheer scale of space. They were a reminder of how small and precious this world really is. And that is why the arrival of New Horizons was so emotional. We finally walked across the dark fields. We finally brought the camera up close to the flower. And when we did, we saw that it was not just a grey rock. It was a world of mountains, of glaciers, of blue skies. The journey to reveal Pluto also brought with it a question of identity. We cannot speak of this world without touching upon the controversy that has followed it like a shadow, the question of whether it is a planet. In the year 2006, the definitions were rewritten. The International Astronomical Union decided that Pluto did not meet the new criteria to be one of the major planets. It was reclassified. It was given the label Dwarf Planet. For many people, this felt like a loss. It felt like a demotion, a slight against a beloved underdog. We had grown up with 9 planets, and suddenly there were 8. It felt as though Pluto had been cast out of the family. But let us look at this not with the rigid mind of a lawyer, but with the wise mind of the universe. The universe does not care about our labels. It does not care about our lists or our categories. These are human inventions, boxes we create to try and organize the infinite complexity of nature. When we called Pluto a planet, it did not puff up with pride. And when we called it a dwarf planet, it did not shrink with shame. It simply continued to spin. It continued to orbit. Its heart continued to beat. The reclassification was not an act of malice, it was an act of discovery. we realized that Pluto was not alone. We found that it was part of something much bigger. It was not a lonely misfit at the edge of the planetary club. It was the king of the Kuiper Belt. It was the first of a new class of worlds. We found Eris, Makemake, Haumea, Sedna, a whole family of icy siblings that had been hiding in the dark. By calling it a dwarf planet, we were actually recognizing its true context. We were acknowledging that the solar system is richer and more crowded than we ever imagined. We used to think the solar system had two zones, the rocky planets near the sun and the gas giants further out. Now we know there is a third zone, the realm of the ice dwarfs, the Twilight realm. And if we look at the definition of a planet, one of the rules is that a world must clear its neighborhood. It must be massive enough to push all other debris out of its path. Pluto has not done this. It shares its orbit with thousands of other objects, but there is a poetry in that, too. The major planets, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, are solitary wanderers. They travel in empty lanes, dominant and alone. But Pluto is a social traveler. It drifts in a river of ancient stars and ice. It is part of a collective. It moves in harmony with the swarm of the Kuiper Belt, a conductor in a vast orchestra of frozen debris. So, let us let go of the need for the old title. Dwarf planet is not a lesser term. It describes a world that is small enough to hold on to its secrets, yet large enough to shape itself into a sphere. A world that has enough gravity to crush its core into a round shape, assuming hydrostatic equilibrium, a state of balance. Pluto has achieved this balance. It is round. It is beautiful. It has an atmosphere. It has seasons. It has geology. It has moons. By every measure that matters to the spirit, it is a world worthy of wonder. Whether we call it a planet or a dwarf is just a sound we make with our mouths. The reality of the ice and the silence remains the same. As we drift here, in the twilight of this distant realm, we can feel the parallax of our own understanding shifting. Just as New Horizons saw the stars shift their positions, we see our place in the cosmos shifting. We are not the center of everything. We are just one warm rock looking out at a cold rock. This region, the Kuiper Belt, is the attic of the solar system. It is where the dusty memories of our formation are kept. In these billions of floating objects, the history of how we came to be is preserved. They are the leftovers, the unused bricks of creation. And Pluto is the largest, most intricate of them all. The twilight here is not a sad light. It is a preserving light. The cold here is not a destructive cold. It is a protecting cold. It keeps things as they were. It holds the history of the last 4 billion years in a suspended animation, waiting for us to be ready to read it. Imagine standing on the surface again, looking up at the sun, that bright, piercing star. You are standing on the edge of the known world. Behind you, towards the sun, lie the giants, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter. They are bright, stormy, and loud. But in front of you, facing away from the sun, lies the true unknown, the scattered disk, the Oort cloud, the deep interstellar night. Pluto is the gateway. It stands on the threshold between the solar family and the galactic void. It is the last outpost of solid ground before the great emptiness begins. There is a sense of saudade here, a feeling of longing and nostalgia for something you have never really known. It is the feeling of looking at a light in a distant window and wondering who lives there. We look at Pluto, and we see a reflection of our own curiosity. We sent a machine made of metal and silicon, powered by the heat of decaying plutonium, across an ocean of nothingness, just to say hello. And Pluto answered. It showed us its heart. It showed us its calm. It showed us that even at the edge of the night, there is beauty to be found. As the New Horizons spacecraft moves on, leaving Pluto behind, it carries the memory of this encounter. The probe will eventually run out of power. Its transmitter will fall silent. It will become a dead artifact, drifting forever among the stars. But the data it sent back, the images of the glaciers and the haze, will live on in our minds. We have now completed the loop of knowledge. We have seen the surface. We have felt the atmosphere. We have touched the ice. We have understood the silence. The facts have been gathered. The questions have been asked. And now, the answers are dissolving into the quiet rhythm of the drift. The intellectual part of our journey is coming to an end. The mind, which seeks to categorize and define, can now rest. The eyes, which seek to resolve the blurry shapes, can now close. We are ready to leave the Twilight realm, not to return to the noise of Earth, but to drift deeper into the peace that lies beyond understanding. We are ready to let the gravity of the dream take hold. The shadows on Pluto are long, but they are soft. The light is dim, but it is enough. The world is small, but it is complete. And so are you. And now, the images begin to fade. The stark white of the nitrogen glaciers and the deep red of the ancient tholins are softening in your mind's eye, dissolving into the gentle grey of sleep. We have traveled a great distance tonight. We have drifted across the billions of kilometers of empty space that separate our warm, busy world from the silent, frozen outer rim. We have stood on the shores of a hidden ocean and watched the slow, geological breathing of a dwarf planet that was once just a mystery in the dark. But now, the journey of the mind is complete. The New Horizons spacecraft, that brave and silent little vessel, continues its voyage away from us. It is moving at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, yet in the vastness of the void, it seems to be drifting motionless. It is sailing out into the deep ocean of the interstellar night, heading toward the stars of Sagittarius. It will never return home. It will drift forever, carrying the memory of our curiosity into the infinite silence. And just as the spacecraft lets go of the solar system, moving freely into the drift, you can now let go of your day. You can release the thoughts that have tethered you to the waking world. You can let go of the lists, the worries, and the plans. They are far behind you now, as distant and small as the sun appears from the surface of Pluto. We have seen that even in the coldest, darkest places there is warmth. We have learned that beneath the frozen crust there is a liquid heart. This is a truth that belongs to you as well. No matter how cold or dark the night may seem, there is a warmth within you, a steady, beating life that sustains you without you ever having to think about it. You are a part of this universe. You are not just a passenger observing these wonders. You are made of the same stardust, the same ancient elements that form the mountains of Pluto and the red snows of Charon. The silence of the cosmos is not empty. It is a mirror of the silence that lies deep within your own being, waiting for you to return to it. If these calm, curious explorations help you unwind, I invite you to like or subscribe. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here too. And now, let the world grow quiet around you. The screen of your mind is turning dark. The data, the facts, and the theories are evaporating like the nitrogen ice, turning into a formless, peaceful mist. There is nothing more to learn tonight. There is nothing more to understand. The universe does not require your attention anymore. It will continue its slow, majestic dance, whether you are watching or not. The heart of Pluto will continue to beat in its slow, rhythmic cycle of centuries. The glaciers will continue to flow, inch by inch, smoothing over the scars of the past. The moons will continue their eternal waltz, facing each other in the dark, held by the gravity of their bond. And Arrokoth will continue to tumble end over end, a silent relic of the beginning, safe in the shadows. You are safe here. You are held by the gravity of your bed, supported and cradled. Your breathing is slow and deep, mimicking the long, slow exhalation of the planet's atmosphere. With every breath out, you are sinking deeper into the mattress, heavier and more relaxed. Your limbs are heavy. Your eyelids are heavy. The pull of sleep is gentle but irresistible, like the weak gravity of a small world pulling you down onto its soft, snowy surface. Imagine yourself drifting in that blue haze we saw earlier. You are floating weightless in the upper atmosphere of Pluto, surrounded by layers of soft, sapphire light. It is cool here and perfectly still. There is no sound. There is no wind. There is only the sensation of floating, of being suspended in a place where time has no meaning. The stars above you are steady and unblinking. They are the guardians of your rest. You are drifting further and further away from the noise, further and further into the comfort of the deep drift. The darkness is not scary. It is a blanket. It is the velvet curtain that has been drawn across the stage of the day to allow you to rest. Let the silence fill you up. Let it soothe every nerve and quiet every thought. You are a voyager returning to the harbor of sleep. The mission is over. The systems are powering down. You are entering your own hibernation, a time of deep, restorative peace. Rest now in the knowledge that mystery itself is a kind of lullaby. The things we do not know, the oceans we have not seen, and the stars we have not visited are not problems to be solved tonight. They are the dreams that will carry you through the night. The universe is vast enough to hold all your questions, and tonight it offers you only its stillness. The ship sails on. The stars burn cold and bright, and you are drifting slowly, gently into the dark. Close your eyes. Let go of the last thread of wakefulness. Sink into the quiet. Sleep well. Good night.